This is Derrick Broze. This is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance. I'm here in Standing Rock.
That man is wanted in 5 different countries: Chile, Argentina, Brazil.
We've been fighting a long time. We've all lost so very much. So many loved ones gone.
Don't you fucking tease that horse!
You are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around the planet. We are at the brink. Above all, stay alive. You have no idea how important you are. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network, and today is Tuesday, January 30th, 2024, and I am in San Francisco getting ready to report on the second phase of the Fluoride lawsuit, which is taking place at the Burton Courthouse, U.S. Federal Courthouse, just about 5 minutes away from where I'm staying, and where I might be staying for the next 2 weeks. This lawsuit is scheduled to go beginning tomorrow, Wednesday, January 31st, to February 13th, 14th, I believe, around there. And so that could potentially go for 2 weeks, depending on what takes place. In this video today, I'm going to catch you up for those of you who might not even be aware of what the heck I'm talking about when I say there's a fluoride lawsuit. And for those of you who are aware and just want to know what's this second phase about, what's this going to mean, and all that and more. But first, let me go ahead and remind you guys to bookmark my website, theconsciousresistance.com, theconsciousresistance.com, which you can see right here. This is where I've been producing content for going on a decade now and releasing interviews, podcasts, my presentation. You can check out my recent presentation for the Greater Reset. Check out some of my recent interviews and reports. And if you want to bookmark, sign up for our email list, please do that so you can stay tuned to everything I'm doing, including the fluoride work that I've done. If you just go ahead, let me just show you, we'll just do this live. You search fluoride on our website. We actually have a category for this that covered all the different fluoride stories I've done over the last decade, including on this specific fluoride lawsuit, the fluoride trial. You can see my appearance on the High Wire with Del Bigtree talking about this. So there's a lot of material here to go back over the years as I've been talking about fluoride and the problems and the concerns of that. And so I just released this new article yesterday. Second phase of a historic fluoride lawsuit begins Wednesday. For those who don't know, I write for The Last American Vagabond with Ryan Christian, and that's where you can find this article that I'm going to be covering today, which will get you all caught up for what you need to know and for what's coming up. But here's the short version of it. All right, guys, this is it. If the US EPA loses this lawsuit against Fluoride Action Network, Food and Water Watch, and a couple other organizations in this federal court, if they lose this lawsuit, it could be the end of water fluoridation in the United States. Now, of course, I wouldn't immediately celebrate. I mean, that alone, if the judge rules in their favor, I'll tell you more about it in a second, would be a victory of sorts. But at the same time, we can expect that it will get stuck in court. It'll languish. It'll for years, legal limbo, and there'll be appeals, and it might even go, who knows how far it could go, but it could definitely last for years, because so far this process of the Fluoride Action Network filing a petition with the EPA under the Toxic Substances Control Act, the TSCA Act, they did that in 2016, and here we are 2024, and this is the second phase of the trial. So in 2020, after the initial petition was filed in 2016, the EPA denied it. The Fluoride Action Network and different plaintiffs, mothers, and Food and Water Watch, as I mentioned, sued the EPA, and it's been just ongoing kind of back and forth legal stuff happening. And then by 2020, it actually went to trial, went to court. And of course, it was COVID lockdown, so it was only via Zoom. And I was one of the only people reporting daily in the courtroom via Zoom and live tweeting, as I will be starting tomorrow. And and so that trial, that first phase of the fluoride lawsuit in 2020, there was a lot of big groundbreaking information that, again, you can find at the Last American Vagabond. You can see my reports there. We've got a whole section here on the fluoride lawsuit. You look up here at TLAV team, go down to Derrick Broze. You can see fluoride trial, and you just click this, and it has everything I've written about the fluoride trial since 2020 and a little bit before. And you can get all caught up. But the point is, this is a historic lawsuit. And so if the EPA loses and the judge says that under the evidence has been presented, fluoride is a neurotoxin, which we've known already for a while, and the judge is slowly accepting. If that's the case, then under the TSCA, then they have to ban it. They have to stop the practice of water fluoridation. Now, of course, this is something that many people don't want to happen because I don't know if everybody fully understands that there are powerful industries. When you study the history of fluoride, going back to the Manhattan Project and nuclear testing, uranium and fluoride, like testing it on people, the government's known since back then, and at least since the 1930s, there have been scientists showing hard evidence of the dangers of exposure to fluoride and fluoride as well. So this has been going on for some time. There really are powerful interests that do not want this to happen. And not only that, just think about this in the United States, that the ADA, the American Dental Association, the CDC, the FDA, the EPA, of course, they all say that fluoride is safe, and specifically water fluoridation is safe. And if this judge rules in this way and it actually stands and it survives some appeals, then that could open the US government and multiple different agencies to class action lawsuits. And I mean, that would be incredible. Just think about, because when we already understand that fluoride can affect the thyroid, we know that it can affect the bones. That's one of the most frequent things that it does. Hips. Oh, did I cut out for a second? Okay, I think I might have cut out. The hips, and obviously in this case, the reason fluoride lawsuit, we've learned more about the evidence that fluoride does actually lower IQ in children. So let's go ahead and get into this. But I just want to make that clear in case you don't really care about the details. That's what's going on. This fluoride lawsuit could potentially be the end of water fluoridation in the United States if it survives the next couple weeks. So on Wednesday, second phase of the fluoride lawsuit will resume at the Philip Burton Federal Courthouse, which, like I said, I'm just 5 minutes away. After nearly 4 years of delays, the proceedings will be the latest hearings in an 8-year legal battle between the US EPA and Fluoride Action Network. The battle began following the EPA's 2016 decision to deny the plaintiff's petition under the TSCA. Like I just explained to you guys, the Fluoride Action Network is attempting to prove that fluoride is a neurotoxin and should be regulated or banned under the TSCA. At a recent pretrial hearing, Judge Edward Chen, this hearing happened earlier this month in January, agreed to allow additional discovery related to the long-delayed review of fluoride's toxicity conducted by the U.S. National Toxicology Program. So let me just give you a quick background on that. The National Toxicology Program has been studying fluoride's potential toxicity since at least 2016, I believe. And this has been kind of part of while the lawsuit is going on, the Fluoride Action Network saying, like, look, we have all these different government studies. You had the National Resource Council, I think in 2006. And then you had the National Toxicology Program looking at doing like a review of all the different studies and all the different data that actually does exist, specifically to do with neurotoxin and neurotoxicity in terms of affecting cognitive development, lowering IQ, things like that. And the NTP report, we now know, found that fluoride is a neurotoxin, that it does indeed lower IQ in children at certain levels. And of course, the government has tried to, the U.S. government, certain levels of the U.S. government, specifically Rachel Levine, Secretary of Health, Assistant Secretary of Health, Health and Human Services. She basically, as we know in these emails, blocked the release of the NTP study that did conclude fluoride is a neurotoxin. Now, look, just to make that clear, this report was supposed to come out. This is a U.S. government report, National Toxicology Program, supposed to come out in 2016, started getting studied. It was supposed to come out years ago. We knew that it was finally going to come out in May 2022. And then for some reason it didn't happen. And then through this lawsuit, the Fluoride Action Network has filed, FOIAs and was able to obtain emails showing specifically that Rachel Levine, again, within Health and Human Services, blocked the release of this document from the National Toxicology Program showing that fluoride is a neurotoxin and that does lower IQ in children. Well, that is going to be brought into the court now, finally, even though it's been 4 years and it's been delayed. At this recent hearing, Judge Chen ruled that that report, the NTP report, could be considered, even though it's only a draft report, because as we said, it was supposed to come out May 2022. It didn't come out. Thanks to the emails released by the Fluoride Action Network, we now know that the scientists said that they believe the study was done. It was ready to be released in May 2022, but Assistant Secretary for Health Rachel Levine intervened to stop the release of this review. And an email dated June 3rd, 2022 shows Nicole Johnson, Associate Director for Policy, Partnerships, and Strategic Communication and CDC's Oral Health Division, contacting Jennifer Greaser, a Senior Public Health Policy Analyst in CDC's Washington office. And Johnson, again with the CDC's Oral Health Division, says, quote, "The latest we heard yesterday is that Assistant Secretary of Health Levine has put the report on hold until further notice." So we know that there was some tomfoolery going on blocking the release of this report. And now the judge is saying, even though it's only a draft version, we're going to allow it in court. And he said that it would, quote, "be given a fair amount of weight in the trial." But he said he's not really going to hear evidence about the suppression of the report, because look, this report is one thing, but the story, as I reported, is really that you have elements of the U.S. government trying to block a report that shows that fluoride, which your cities in the United States pay to get added to the water that you drink and shower in and cook your food in and make your coffee in and things like that, that they don't want you to see this study. That's just what it comes down to. They think that you shouldn't see this. And thankfully, the judge is going to allow it in there. But again, the big story is that there's elements of the U.S. government trying to cover it up and not allow you to see it and not allow the information to get out. So instead, your cities, more than likely, are going to continue to put it in the water. But this could all change with this report. With this lawsuit here. Sorry if I'm all over the place, guys. It's been a 10-hour day, so I'm not on my best game at the moment. I woke up at 5 a.m., left Mexico to Houston to San Francisco to get here, and had to go run around and get some things for tomorrow. Starts at 8:30 a.m. here in Pacific Coast, and just ate a moment ago. So nonetheless, let's continue here. The Fluoride Action Network presented Judge Chin with documentation that they claim proves one of the EPA's key expert witnesses, lied during previous testimony. And so that's kind of another angle here. There's just been so many. If you go to the Last American Vagabond and you check out my reporting on the fluoride trial, you're going to see just all the things that I've been reporting on for the last 4 years, the different updates, the emails that I just mentioned. You can go more in depth into those emails and learn about who in the U.S. government appears to know about this study, this one study in particular. There's more than one, but this kind of review by the National Toxicology Program, that they know that it's causing harm. You can see all of my different articles I've done over the year. Again, newly released emails show California dental director altered study to remove negative conclusions. NTP advisory board votes to accept report on fluoride's toxicity. And again, we've been following this. Newly released review of fluoride's toxicity highlights the NTP scientists' battle to follow the science. And this is what I mean is, like, we got these emails that show the scientists in the NTP themselves were actually trying to follow the science. But then there's this political interference that comes along and basically tries to stop them from just following the science. And it's because there really are, as I was mentioning earlier, some powerful entrenched interests within the United States government, but also within the industry. So what is called fluoride is actually hydrosilicic acid, hydrofluorosilicic acid, and it is a byproduct of phosphate mining, alumina mining. And there's big companies like Mosaic Co. and others that, as I said earlier, they get to pay, or they get to sell it to cities who pay, to add this to the water that you drink. And so instead of these companies having to pay to dispose of this toxic waste, they then get paid by the cities to dump the waste into your water that you drink and shower. And it's really one of the most mind-boggling scams that's been perpetrated on the American people, and really just a fraud of science. And hopefully it is all coming to an end. So I will be here in San Francisco for the next 2 weeks, if it takes 2 weeks. If the trial ends sooner, obviously I won't be here that long. I've already had some adventures out in the city. I'll do some other videos about my thoughts on San Francisco as a city. And but I'm going to be going into the courtroom every day. I'm going to be going to the courtroom every day at 8:30. I will be taking notes and writing articles, typing along. I'll also be live tweeting. There's my camera back there. I'll be live tweeting in the actual courtroom. So if you follow me, Broze Live Free, I will be live tweeting there. And then at the end of the day, whenever the trial gets out, the hearing gets out at 1:30, I'm probably going to come straight back here and 1:30 Pacific, so 3:30 Central. I'm going to come straight back to the hotel room and set up and go live. I'll either go live with Ryan of Last Vagabond, which we'll probably do a couple times a week, but I'll probably go live every single day, no matter what, for the Conscious Resistance, to just do a breakdown. And I'm going to do written articles, maybe a once a week article, depending on, how, if there's like breaking huge updates, then I'll do more articles. But yeah, so you can count on the next couple of weeks to be here in San Francisco reporting on this very important trial. And I hope you will share this video and spread the word, because this is a very important topic that not enough people are talking about. If you go to a search of fluoride lawsuit, fluoride trial, or search EPA versus Food and Water Watch, or Food and Water Watch versus EPA, and you'll see no corporate media, no mainstream reporting on this at all. It's insane. I mean, it's not surprising, but it is pretty insane. And so if you want to support me, please do go to theconsciousresistance.com. You can go to theconsciousresistance.com/invest, and you can see my crypto wallets. You can sign up to support me on Buy Me a Coffee or derrickbroze.substack.com. I am there posting my work there. I'm sorry the internet doesn't seem to be the greatest here. It's cutting in and out. I need to get a hotspot. I'm at a hotel, and so I'm using the Wi-Fi here, but I'll get something better for tomorrow. But that's pretty much what I want to say. That's what the fluoride lawsuit is. That's what I'm going to be doing here for the next couple of weeks, and just follow along at theconsciousresistance.com, wherever you're watching, listening to me. Follow at The Last American Vagabond, and you can read my articles there. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Sorry about the bad audio. See you tomorrow where it all begins. Follow me on Twitter at DBrozeLiveFree if you want to, if you want to see my live tweets. And till next time, remember, you're powerful, you're beautiful, and you're free. Peace.
Since 2012, the Conscious Resistance Network has been an independent media organization focused on empowering individuals through education, philosophy, health, and community organizing. We work to create a world where corporate and state power do not rule over the lives of free human beings. Our motto is leading by example and helping others in their pursuit of freedom. Visit theconsciousresistance.com to find our articles, documentaries, interviews, podcasts, books, and more. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free.